Special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Good morning to you. Those of you viewing GBN TV, whether you're viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20, good morning to you also, and welcome to this edition of To The Point. It's Wednesday, the 24th of July, 2024, and it's the day of the week that we usually entertain various departments within the government here, various government departments, of course, government officials, of course, representative of government. We do that here on To The Point every Wednesday. Representing this morning, we have Press Secretary, that's Ms. Neila, of course, Ettienne with us this morning. Let's go over to her and say good morning. Good morning, Ms. Ettienne. It's nice to have you. I know you're going to make the necessary, what would I say, corrections in terms of who should be representing this one. You're going to fix that, right?
Yes.
You're going to fix that. But let me say good morning and welcome to The Point. How are you this morning?
I am well. Good morning, GT. Good morning to all your listeners. And I know some of you are viewing as well. So good morning to you guys as well. It is a pleasure to be here. I think this is my first time being interviewed by you.
Yes, it is.
It's been a while for me to be in a studio in this capacity. So I'm really happy, and I thank you again for having me this morning.
You're certainly welcome. Well, just for those, we should have been having the Honorable Prime Minister with us this morning, and so for various reasons, which I want to let you explain in a short, why we're not going to have him, and you had to, of course, be sitting in this capacity now.
Right. So I first of all want to say apologies on behalf of the Prime Minister. Extend apologies on behalf of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister has been going like an Energizer bunny, and I'm sure you could understand why. So he has lost his voice this morning, so we want to save that voice because next week we have CARICOM, and he's the new chairman, so of course we want him to be tip-top shape when he addresses the heads of government of the region. And so apologies on behalf of the Prime Minister this morning. We did not want to miss out on this opportunity, so we decided to, we decided that I should be here this morning to represent the Prime Minister so I could talk through some of the things that are happening re-CARICOM this coming week.
All right, great. Well, of course, it's not a big shoes to fill, but I certainly hope you will be able to manage it.
Big shoes to fill. Huge shoes to fill.
All right, but of course, it's not a problem at all. Let's kick the conversation off this morning. As you mentioned, we will be having the CARICOM, of course, meeting here next week. And of course, we know the Prime Minister has already taken up being the chair of CARICOM and so forth. Tell us, with Grenada assuming the chair of CARICOM, what are some of the, what is expected? What should I say? What are some of the things that we are expecting to achieve during that particular tenure of being, of course, Grenada being taken up that?
No problem. So first of all, I want to say that the Prime Minister has been a part of what you call the Bureau. And the Bureau is made up of the outgoing chairman, the incoming, and the current, right? Yes. So he was part of the Bureau when President Ali of Ghana was the chairman. So now he's still a part of the Bureau. He every 6 months, the chairmanship is handed over to a new head. So this is his turn, and he's part of the Bureau with President Ali of Guyana, and him as the current chair. And of course, Mia Motley will take up the next 6 months after his tenure. So some of the agenda items that have been identified for this meeting. Food and nutrition security, climate change and sustainable development, air and maritime transport, CARICOM, single market and economy, free movement of nationals, and I know that has been a big one for some time, regional digital resilience, and Prime Minister will be championing the digital space, and of course foreign policy. And I think climate change will be one of the main focus. I think that might take up a bulk of the meeting because, of course, after the passage of Hurricane Beryl, how many Caribbean islands were affected.
Understandably so.
Exactly. So I think that one will take up the bulk of the discussions. Yes. This especially, Beryl is the first Category 5 hurricane, and it hit so early in the season.
Exactly.
And the season we still have a few months to go in the season. So I think that will take up a bulk of the discussion during this upcoming meeting.
All right. All right, great. Now, As you mentioned it a while ago, in terms of the implementation of some of the what's on the agenda and so forth, and you also spoke a wee bit in terms of movement of people. CARICOM took a decision to fully implement the free movement of people within the space of from March. Is it from March 30th of 2024 this year? Where is Grenada with the implementation of this particular process?
I think a lot of talks are still happening, and I know some of the islands already. I think Trinidad, St. Vincent, and Barbados, they have that ferry going back and forth. So I think we still need to have discussions about what actually can work for Grenada. So I know that will still be a big part of the discussion. So we await for a final for that. I know people are excited about that. People want to be able to move freely between countries. Even like last week when we went up to Carriacou, somebody was proposing free movement into Carriacou.
Yeah.
They said, let's bring everything for free. And of course, we can't just bring everything in for free because we need to find a way to make money for the country. So everything cannot be free. You can't have, just vessels just coming in without charging and so on. So I know that still needs to be trashed out in terms of how exactly it's going to work out, how it's going to play out.
I had a question that was, of course, mentioned to me by a particular journalist, which I think I had it prepared for the Prime Minister. Well, I'm going to post it because it's along the same line. And it says, with the substantial amount of money that is spent on to link between Grenada and North America, the Caribbean, of course, how can I put? Let me get it. I have to kind of rephrase it now because it was for the Prime Minister.
I'm not the Prime Minister.
You're not the Prime Minister. Have the government considered, the Prime Minister inclusive of that, considered, creating a profitable and sustainable airline that would service routes within the region, I would say, and including Grenada and Carriacou, an air bridge sort of course, intentional along that way. Have you that consideration been given to that?
I think so. I know there have been a lot of talks about getting more airlines into Grenada. And I think one of those. A great idea would be to have our own airlines, the Cayman Island, Cayman Air, So I think that would be an excellent idea. But of course, we need to have some structures in place before we can actually. Now,
given the maintenance of the current link, of course, how it is right now, would establishing a national line be more cost-effective option for Grenada in the long run? What do you think?
I'm not sure.
I know it was scheduled for the Prime Minister, because he probably will have that kind of a pattern rolling around. But I just wondering if with conversations with him, if they have
maybe I'll take the note. I'll take the note. But I do think it would be a proud moment to have our own airline, Grenada Air, or something of that nature. And I think we could certainly talk about it and welcome that. And I think it might be cost effective going from Grenada to Carriacou, and maybe the St. Vincent, even Trinidad, because some of the costs are skyrocketing. Just to come home for Carnival, people are complaining. Between Trinidad and Grenada is almost $1,000 just to,
Some folks are sometimes even cheaper to go to the US than visit other islands of the Caribbean.
Very much so, and I think that has been a cry for a long time. How can we make travel cheaper? I have some friends who just went to Canada, and it's a family of 3, and they had to spend almost $10,000 just to get tickets just to go. So I think the possibility does exist, and I think we could certainly explore it if we come together and really explore how we can make it cheaper for everybody. I think that's certainly something we could definitely discuss.
Great. Now, CARICOM has a food security policy, and on occasions, of course, an association action plan, I would say, with a 6% decline in agriculture in 2023 as reported by the Fiscal Resilience Oversight Committee, and the impact of burial and so forth. I've been reading up on that a whole lot, and it's just a bit of a concern to me. If I'm to ask the question, in terms of what are Grenada's plan for the sector to ensure that, of course, we have, of course, alignment with the policy as established by CARICOM?
Well, in terms of a plan, if you go back to, you talked about burial. I was thinking about Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
Yes.
Now, after burial, everything was wiped out. Everything wiped out. I'm talking vegetation, mangrove, the coconut trees. You can't even get a coconut water in Carriacou right now. So the plan has to be one that is really sustainable. And I know CARICOM, the Sustainable Development Plan has to be solid so that everybody could really benefit. And Grenada. Agriculture is one of those things that we really need to focus on a lot. We do have of course, the spice replanting, but agriculture on a whole really needs to be beefed up. And we need to start there. Yeah. Agriculture, fishing, that also needs to. So I think that's where we need to start focusing on agriculture, great. Fishing, just making sure our marine space is beefed up.
All right, great. We're due for a break. Let's take our first break in this segment. When we come back, we could continue with the discussion this morning here on the program, folks. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back. Stay with us, folks.
Looking for a burst of...
Welcome to the 47th meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM, hosted by your new chairman, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, July 28th to 30th, St. George, Grenada. Raise your voices high. The Conference of Heads of Government, comprising the leaders of member states, serves as the highest governing body of the Caribbean community. CARICOM is a multilingual community made up of 20 countries, 15 member states, and 5 associate members, and is home to approximately 16 million citizens. CARICOM stands on 4 pillars: economic integration, foreign policy coordination, human and social development, and security. It holds ultimate authority for negotiating treaties on behalf of the community and establishing relationships between the community and international organizations and states. The conference oversees the financial arrangements necessary to cover the community's expenses, though it has assigned this responsibility to the Community Council. Typically, decisions within the conference are reached through unanimous agreement. Join us as we begin the countdown for the 47th regular meeting of CARICOM Heads of Government in Spice Island, Grenada, with incoming chairman, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, and the whole of CARICOM represented. Let's join the conversations and prepare the shifting perspectives on pertinent and pressing issues that affect our Caribbean community.
Experience the heart and soul of Spice Mass at the Glen Traditional Mass Festival on Saturday, July 27th at Hero Square, Victoria in St. Mark. Join us from 3 p.m. and witness the spectacular cultural display of the various traditional mass bands such as Feko, Shortney, while in there, Jab Jab, and Maypole dancers with vibrant costumes, infectious music, and unforgettable cultural tradition. Bring your family and friends to enjoy an afternoon filled with excitement and heritage. Your presence is not just a visit, but a contribution to the preservation of our rich Grenadian culture. The Traditional Mass Festival, commencing 3 p.m. Hero Square, St. Mark. See you there. Saturday, 27 July. This event is sponsored by Glen.
Fly the Jones, Switch, it's Lava Man. It's all about Spice Up the Carnage Soca Mona competition. It starts on the 26th of July. It's going to go on to the 2nd of August, then the 9th for the finals. I will be the host. Fly the Jones, Switch. Get there, see you there, be there. Nothing but vibes. Real mashup, yeah? Mad.
Right on the head.
welcome back to our listeners and viewers once again. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. With me this morning, we have the press secretary, of course, Ms. Neila Ettienne with us this morning. Ms. Ettienne, welcome back to the program, and welcome back once again. Let's continue along the line of our conversation this morning. Now, sometime in 2018, if my memory serves right, CARICOM did a study on marijuana. Where is Grenada with the legalization process of the herb?
Okay, so recently the Ministry of Agriculture hosted a marijuana consultation, and those will be ongoing. We had a consultation in St. George, so I know they'll be going around the country to do more consultations. But a document has been prepared for Cabinet, and they're actually meeting this morning to talk through the marijuana, the status of that.
Okay,
so,
great. Of course,
so we're moving in a positive direction.
Of course, so we certainly wait to hear a release on that in the soon.
I mean, it was a good consultation. We had stakeholders from all sectors. So we had on the medicine side, and we also had the people who, use it for recreational purposes, and a lot of people were talking, focusing on the recreational part, but I really think the focus should be on the medicinal purpose of marijuana, and I think that's where we really want to focus on in the first instance.
All right, great. Well, Mr. Ettienne, you're here as the press secretary, and you're sitting in for the Prime Minister this morning. We cannot bypass and not speak about CARICOM. You understand? So here's the question. There's a topical issue, I would say, on the low-income homes in CARICOM, where the PM, claimed to have given authorization to people to access the low-income units. And Minister Thomas advised that persons already occupying them. MP Williams has since done a live and advised the place is not habitable. What is the status of the housing units in CARICOM, if you can answer that?
Well, the last I heard was there was some damages to the housing unit. So I know those will have to be checked before people can actually go inside. It did sustain some flooding. Some of the roofs were damaged, and some windows and so on were damaged. So I know they're looking at fixing those up so that people can move in. Yes, the Prime Minister did proclaim that, people we actually can give them permission to go in. But before that can be done, you must ensure that it's a livable space.
Right. Yeah. So has the problem that you mentioned, has they actually started work on that?
They have done some evaluation on it. I know they did go in sometime last week to do some work on it. So I'm not sure what the status of it is just yet. But the Prime Minister has committed to go into CARICOM every Friday. So hopefully he's feeling well enough to go to CARICOM this Friday to check that out. So that would be one of the things that he will be addressing. Shortly.
Now, if I also like, what is the present state of ongoing work in CARICOM and Petit Martinique and the mainland Grenada, in terms of we talking the northern part of the island, mostly through magma? We hear that with cleanup. What else is taking place? That, of course, I should say about that is led by government in terms of what is taking place.
So a lot is taking place, and in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, I know a lot of people were excited. They were not excited, but they were eager to go to CARICOM to visit friends, family, and so on. As a matter of fact, just recently, a young lady met me, and she said she didn't like when the Prime Minister said they can't go to CARICOM. But if you go to CARICOM, if you had gone to CARICOM in like the day after, 2 days after the hurricane, you would understand why it's not safe to go to CARICOM. The roads were blocked, completely blocked. You had debris everywhere, garbage. You had dead animals, the stench, and it was a really bad state. And of course, it was declared a state of a disaster zone.
Yes.
So in disaster zone, you don't want everybody going up and trying to save the day. So it was a precautionary measure in the first couple of days. Right now, we have been having some cleanup crews going up every weekend through the Ministry of Implementation. And transformation, mobilization, implementation, and transformation, headed by Honorable Andy Williams. So work has been ongoing. So the roads are almost completely cleared now. Most people have tarpaulins on their roof. So that's ongoing. The Ministry of Social Development, they've been spearheading psychosocial team, and they've been doing work in terms of getting people to, relax a little bit more. I know they had a movie night last time, just meeting people where, and just being there for someone. And I think in the first instance, you kind of have to be there for your brother, be there for your sister, just to make sure that people have somebody to talk to. After Ivan, we had a lot of that happening in Grenada.
Yes.
Most people lost roofs and houses, but we took comfort in the fact that we had life. And I think right now the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs, they're doing some psychosocial assistance up in CARICOM, and of course the ongoing work in terms of cleaning, and the cleaning will take a while before you can actually start rebuilding. Yeah.
So if I'm about to ask you, what's for an update in terms of for the last 2 weeks or so, we've been hearing teams from Grenada going up. What percentage of you can say in terms of the cleanup has taken place thus far?
Oh, a large amount. Actually, about probably 75% of the roads have been completely cleared.
Yeah.
The Glenlec is there. We've gotten support from Domilec and some of the other regional electricity companies. So that's happening. We have Ghana is there as well. We have some. We've done a lot of cleanup, about 75%, probably even more.
In terms of the relief process, also, what any update you have on that for us?
Relief in terms of
relief, recovery process, and so forth in CARICOM, especially. How the process of that continues?
I think it has smoothed. It has been a lot smoother now. I know when we went to Petit Martinique last week, we've had they have identified a room, so they have a storage with food. So I know food is still being delivered to CARICOM and Petit Martinique. So I think relief-wise, they have enough food. They've been storing the food, so they have the relief in terms of food that has been going well.
All right.
Yeah.
Slight diversion from CARICOM. We still have to talk some more about CARICOM, but a question I wanted to get into is related to this. Now, what's the state of a regularization process when it comes to we have heard from the president of the PW, speak on issues along with the president of the GUT. What are the process? What are these processes at this time as a reference to that?
The process of regularization.
Yes. Where we at right now with that? Because we've been hearing from, we heard from the president of the PW, he spoke on it. We heard from the president of the GUT speak. What is the process at this time in terms of regularization?
What are the process in terms of where it's going? How many people have been
along those lines?
Okay, well, I personally don't have the numbers for you, but I do know that the process is still ongoing. A number of persons have been regularized. They're trying to move the people who are on contract to a regular status. So I know that has been ongoing. We also trying to regularize the pension. Yeah. That's a pension reform that is also still ongoing. So in terms of regularization, maybe DPA would have to speak more in depth about that. So
all right.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea when, of course, are we going to see a supplementary budget coming up in Parliament, especially in the context of Hurricane Beryl?
Right. So because they're still doing some data collection as to the extent of the damages, we're very close now. Parliament will be called soon to have that supplementary budget discussed. Yes.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here, Classic Radio, GBN TV. With us this morning, Press Secretary, Ms. Neila Ettienne. When we come back, we still have more with the conversation. Stay with us, folks. Don't touch it out.
As Grenada grapples with the devastation of Hurricane Beryl, Season 3 of GBN's Our Climate Reality program is focusing on the impact of climate change on small island developing states. Join us on GBN Television, K105 FM, and our Facebook page and YouTube channel for Season 3 of Our Climate Reality, Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Compliments, Grenada Paper Products, and Classic Lighting.
Get the kids together. Get them dressed. We're heading out to total fun and excitement. It's Uncle Talbrig Kids Fest, Saturday, 27 July. More rides, more slides, more go-kart, more horseback riding, more games, more bouncy castle, and much more face painting. And all rides are free. That's right. All rides are free. Just get the kids in. Plus, much more cartoon characters. All the Brian Flint, Little Cello, Muddy and Squeezehead, Soca Jeff, and more. Saturday, 27th July, Monroe's Playing Field, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Admission adults, $20. Children, pay $10. It's their special occasion. Uncle Child Breeze Kids Fest 2024. It's gonna be bigger and better. I am the
Last day I had a dream. It was a scary scene. A dream of soca monarch. Watch how the place mash up from front to back. Whoa, last day I dream soca.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point here, Classic Radio, GBN TV. And with me this morning, Press Secretary, that's Ms. Neila. Let's talk a wee bit about the Prime Minister's constituency. How is things within the constituency for the Prime Minister that you know thus far? I mean, we know of the WASH program, the constituency, community centre soon to be open. Tell us a wee bit about the constituency of the Prime Minister.
All right, so what I can say at this point is that Thursday, tomorrow,
yes.
He'll be opening the Vincent's Community Centre,
yes.
and this one is number 4 in a series of community centres that will be opened, that have been open already. So he is Belle Isle, there's Belle Isle, Corinth, and Barrett, and so this one is number 4, and up next is Old Wester Hall.
All right. How has it been in terms of the community acceptance of these community centres over there?
I think very positive. Over the years, we've seen the community spirit kind of dwindling. So I think the community centres are a good opportunity to rekindle the community spirit. And so far, the Corinth one has been used. I remember years ago, Corinthians, the steel pan for Corinth has been, kind of dormant. So it's a good opportunity for the steel pan to come back again. So community spirit, that's one of the main things that we're going to rekindle. And I think the community centres are a good place for that. Also, Barrett, I think somebody is doing some sewing classes there. So it's a good place for people to mingle and to have community meetings and so on.
How passionate is the Prime Minister about community development, especially within his particular constituency of St. David's?
Oh, he's extremely passionate. I think that's one that he does not miss a constituency day. Prime Minister is very, very passionate about just building community and his community of St. David in particular, just working with young people as well and seeing people thrive. That's one of the things that he is very passionate about.
The lot of talk of the WASH program and so forth. Tell us how the process of that, how it's going, especially within the parish of St. David's.
So, the first phase is complete now. The first phase was in Belle Isle, St. David. And I think it really started because they were refurbishing the Belle Isle Community Centre. And I think they were refurbishing the Belle Isle Community Centre, and they had to build bathroom and toilets within the community centre. And one of the things that touched him the most was the fact that the house right next to the community centre was, they were using outside facilities, outside
toilets. They didn't have that facility.
Exactly. They didn't have that own facility. And, it was just... you couldn't just see that and not do something about it. So I think that's where it really started, just making sure that people have proper living facilities and place to use, bathroom facilities and so on. So I think that's where it really started. So that's where the WASH program, that was part of the inspiration for the WASH program. So the first phase has been completed, and they're moving now to, so the community centre was also used as a storage facility for building materials and so on, logistics and so on. So building the Corinth, refurbishing the Corinth Community Centre, that's also the next place they'll go to do some bathrooms and toilets, and they'll spread out from there.
All right. Yeah. We focus a wee bit on the Prime Minister constituency for this segment. How is it the overall for Grenada in general? All the various parishes and stuff. What kind of process we're going to see going on, or the process for that? Of course, I know the other ministers will have their particular responsibility for that. that. But do we have any idea of how the process of that taking place in the other parishes?
Right. So at this stage, they're doing, they're collecting the data. So they're finding out how many people. I know St. Patrick have already done some data collection, finding out how many people really need these services. So that process has already started. Yeah. That process has already started. So the pilot was in Belial, so people can. So the other ministers have now seen, a model and take it into their constituencies and their parishes.
All right. A little bit of let's talk a little bit again as relates to Hurricane Beryl and the effects on the Sister Isle of CARICOM and Petit Martinique. We have heard of the support that the Grenada has been receiving in general from regional and international support. How is the process continuing in terms of the support that we've been receiving?
All right, so we have been receiving quite a tremendous amount of support from our regional heads and other countries. It has been going really well, overwhelming, and overwhelmingly great. As a matter of fact, we recently had some ranks from Guyana coming in to assist with the recovery process. We also have, like I said earlier, the electricity companies. They also have some support from Dominica and the other St. Lucia and Trinidad. So that has been going pretty well. We also recently received a monetary donation from the Cayman Islands, and the other regional authorities, they've been doing pretty well in supporting Grenada and the relief effort.
Now, we have heard a little about the SWIFT fund that has been, Grenada have received a portion of that. Tell us, has the government have any plans in where, of course, they will be challenging, some of these funds in the first instance? Have any?
So the payout of the 44 million you're referring to, right? So that money is essentially budget support. Yeah. But in the wake of a hurricane, of course, we have to use that for the recovery process. So as it stands right now, I can't say they're going to use it to build 500 houses or whatnot, but it is budget support. So I know that it'll go towards the recovery process of CARICOM and Petit Martinique and the northern parts of Grenada.
All right. I have another question that I would like to. Recently we saw a press release from GIS suggesting that the Premier of the Cayman Islands and associate members of state of CARICOM will be willing to travel back with person interested to work in again. The press release was recalled. Of course, your office apologized as relates to it. Now, with a few moments of the people to focus, for the heads, what would be the protocol and procedure for such matters? Also, how was the press release written? With your release stated that such discussion, of course, taking place. How was that? How that really happened?
How what happened?
It relates to the press release that we heard. If I could restate the question for you. Recently we saw a press release from the GIS suggesting that the Premier of the Cayman Islands and associate members of CARICOM was willing to travel back with person interested in to work in the Cayman Islands. Now, the press release was recalled, and of course, your office apologized. With the free movement of people now, a key focus of the heads in terms of that will be taking place. What would be the protocol and procedure for such matters? Also, how was the press release written? When as your release stated, no such discussion actually took place?
All right, so procedure-wise, in terms of free movement, I think something like that would have to go through the Ministry of Labour, because that's work-related matters. So something of that nature in the future will definitely have to go to the Ministry of Labour, and of course, more talks has to be held. More talks have to be held in terms of what kind of work is available. Those kinds of matters. So yes, we did recall the press release because there was an error, and we did apologize for that. Yeah. So in the future, something like that, especially as it relates to work, will have to be properly discussed by the heads and by the ministries of labor and so on. So proper documentation. So you can't just jump on a plane and go to the Cayman Islands and say you're going to be a construction worker. So in the future, of course, those kinds of talks have to be held before you can just make those kinds of declarations.
All right. Well, let's hope we get some clarification on that, because it was a bit weird. I was going to leave also.
Huh? You wanted to go to Cayman Island?
That was just a joke there. Anyway, folks, we drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, folks, we just will invite you, listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two you would like to ask, of course, the press secretary, feel free to do so in the next segment. Stay with us, folks. We will be right back.
Welcome to the 47th meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM, hosted by your new chairman, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, July 28th to 30th, St. George, Grenada.
Raise your voices high.
The Conference of Heads of Government, comprising the leaders of member states, serves as the highest governing body of the Caribbean community. CARICOM is a multilingual community made up of 20 countries, 15 member states, and 5 associate members, and is home to approximately 16 million citizens. CARICOM stands on 4 pillars: economic integration, foreign policy coordination, human and social development, and security. It holds ultimate authority for negotiating treaties on behalf of the community and establishing relationships between the community and international organizations and states. The conference oversees the financial arrangements necessary to cover the community's expenses, though it has assigned this responsibility to the Community Council. Typically, decisions within the conference are reached through unanimous agreement. Join us as we begin the countdown for the 47th regular meeting of CARICOM Heads of Government in Spice Island, Grenada, with incoming chairman, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, and the whole of CARICOM represented. Let's join the conversations and prepare the shifting perspectives on pertinent and pressing issues that affect our Caribbean community.
Last day I had a dream. It was a scary scene. A dream of soca monarch. Watch how the place mash up from front to back. Whoa, last day I dream. Soca monarch will never be the same. I say a dream. After last day I coming back again. Tell them a dream that people will be shouting out my name. I say a dream. Soca monarch. Last day I take something and show me. Of course, right now, my name is Shamak. I want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you outside here for the support, for the continuous love from since last year to this year. Thank you so much to GBN, Again, just want to say to look out for Shamak in Groovy semifinals, in Power Soca Monarch semifinals, and most importantly, GBN Spice of the Caribbean Soca Monarch. I definitely will be there as well, performing beautiful song, Dream. So look out for you guys there for the support. Thank you so much, Shamak.
Welcome back, listeners. Once again, welcome back, viewers, to The Point here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. Once again, Ms. Ettienne, welcome back to the program once again. My next formal questions, and we do invite our listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two that you may like to ask, feel free to do so in this segment also. As relates to, of course, incentives that have been offered to government, of course, for the folks of the Sister Isle of CARICOM and, of course, Grenada, as it goes along with that free barrel. Tell us a wee bit about that. I've been asked questions as relates to it in terms of, is it for everyone to use in terms of the free barrel, or is it just for the folks in the Sister Isle of CARICOM stuff like that? Just maybe we could give a bit of an explanation on that.
No problem. So the free barrel program started on the 22nd, that was Monday, and it goes until August. At the end of the year, December, I want to say December August. 31st. I don't know why I want to say August, but December 31st. So it goes up until then. Mm-hmm. There is no way of verifying, if GT lost his roof, but GT can pack a barrel and send to his folks in CARICOM. So it is open to everyone. Anyone can pack a barrel and send it. So households will be limited to 2 barrels. Okay. And of course, if you want to bring in 3 and 4 and 5, you will have to pay for the extra. Okay. So your 2 barrels per household. That also includes crates or 2 boxes or a barrel and a box and a crate, whatever the case is. So it is open to everyone. And if you do bring in extra, you have to pay for those.
Are there any other incentive packages that we will be hearing about?
Yes, you will be hearing some more incentive packages. I know there have been conversation about building supplies. That's a big one because, of course, people now have to rebuild houses, some from scratch. Some may have to repair their roofs. So that is being discussed through the Ministry of Finance will give more details on that.
All right.
Yes.
We do have someone on the line. Let's say, of course, hear this caller and, of course, their contribution this morning. Caller, good morning. You're welcome. I guess we may have lost that caller there. 435-2041. If you do have a question or two you may like to ask, feel free to do so. You also have the option of calling in via the WhatsApp, 435-2041. Let's take a WhatsApp caller. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning, you're welcome. Caller, good morning. Via WhatsApp.
Hello?
Caller, good morning.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Yes, thank you so much. I have a comment and a question. We talk about food security, and along in the same sentence, so to speak, we talk about decreasing our food bills and so on. My question to you, I haven't been an observer in our supermarket recently and seen products that come from other sister CARICOM countries. And I wonder, why are we importing those things? Why can't we produce it ourselves? For example, in one supermarket, I saw something labeled as sorrel, and we know that sorrel is inherently red for the most part. And I look at the ingredients, and one of the ingredients was red food dye, D-Y-E. And I'm like, what? In Grenada, we have to be importing such drinks, with artificial, with dye in it. And so my question to you is, what specifically are we doing in terms of laser focusing with regard to agriculture so that we can have quote-unquote food security? And if we're going to embark on that, knowing that some of the food we actually import comes from fellow CARICOM countries, if we are going to, our islands, if we are going to impose restriction on that or aim to limit that affect negatively the economics of that sisterly CARICOM island. And adversely, if they were going to impact such a program, would that negatively affect our economy with regard to export and stuff to those islands? So I would like to hear specifically, not just part of a general statement or mission or vision statement, but specifically laser focus wise, what are we doing or plan to do for the agriculture sector in Grenada? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Of course, the caller was not too clear.
Yeah, it was not clear,
but I did grasp what he was.
I think he was talking about importing too much, and he talked about sorrel. When he said one of the main ingredients in the package was red food dye, and of course that's unfortunate because we do have good soil for sorrel, and most people grow their sorrel for Christmas time, but I think it might be a good opportunity to grow right through the year if that can be done, so we could preserve some of it, and maybe we need to export that as well. So it's a good question, and I'm gonna. It's something that has been in discussion for quite a while. We need to grow more of our local and feed our own population. So it's an opportunity for us now to really, grow what we know is good for us and our people.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Hello.
Good morning, caller. Let's hear from you, please.
Yeah, well, the Prime Minister said that he will be building a new hospital up in Caribbean. Right? But I just listened, the secretary said that he was doing some consultation with the people in the marijuana industry, and they was talking about recreation marijuana. I wonder if the Prime Minister didn't think about building some ward there for mentally disabled people, because when you smoke marijuana, you get mentally disabled. And when they talk about recreation marijuana, they talk about smoking it. Marijuana defrog the brain, destroy it. And I hope he builds a mental hospital on the side so that he could put people who smoke marijuana in it. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for anyone. You want to respond to the call?
Thank you for your contribution. The Carlton home is being rebuilt. So I mean that's a facility that can house people, and of course, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your contribution, caller.
Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, and how are you today? And to the lady.
Good morning once again. Thank you. Let's hear your contribution, please.
Yeah, I want to make a contribution to the building effort of CARICOM. And what I would suggest to the government, the concern not only the free barrel, but the building. What you can do is talk to the Guyana government to ask them to take some of the garbage. In Guyana and South America, they have lots of badge. You could ask Guyana to give you 2 badge, because some of these countries are asking what are the help you want. Venezuela, 2 badge. Suriname, 2 badge. And ask the government of Guyana also to help to donate some sand. So all these badge come in with sand from Guyana straight to CARICOM to help with the building process. Then you're asking the gravel and concrete to start processing gravel to go to CARICOM. So when these badges come here, at least 2 of them will make a trip to CARICOM. And then when they're going back, because you're asking Guyana to take a lot of the refuse, the garbage, all these badges are going back to Guyana with a lot of refuge or garbage and stuff, all galvanized and pieces of concrete to Guyana, because Guyana can do that. And what we have to remember is not only money and food we want, because the kayak economy is not like the mainland Grenada. So we have to help them to rebuild. And in Guyana, if you don't know, that land is so massive that I didn't even know they was even taking it. The nuclear waste, they was even stocking in Guyana. So we have to think positive. Not only the barrel, building supply, get these barges going. Because I look at CARICOM, I went in there and CARICOM cannot take all this garbage. So we have to find a way of getting it. Also, one of the things that people was asking, if what help we need. To hold all these people, the government could have asked some of these countries, even people in the diaspora, to get 3 small cruise ships that can hold 500 people each and bring them into CARICOM as housing for workers. So, because when you're working like that, you need freedom, you need to sleep, you need a good bath, you need a rest, and you live. So they go onto the ship, back and land in the morning when they wake up, because these ships carry supply for at least 2 months and sea. And if they're there, you could have 1 supply ship bringing in things to supply them. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. We do have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. Let's hear from you.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford. Miss Ettienne, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, Miss Ettienne, what I really want to hear about and interested in, we know school reopen approximately maybe in the next 5 weeks or such. I've heard that many of the schools are damaged. How far the Ministry of Education has reached in terms of whether thinking of relocation of the student, can those schools be repaired within the 6 weeks? If not, are schools been identified on mainland to relocate the students if they ought to be relocated? And also, what number of students do you think that can be relocated, and as to what are the age range? Because if you're relocating students also, maybe some of them may have to come with their parents, and then you have to look at schools where you can fit them. And last part of the question, I would like to know whether we know all school children uniform, different things they destroy, things of that sort got lost. Are there any plans maybe to look at some of the garment factories, tailors, different things, and decide to mass produce the various school uniform that were worn by the students in CARICOM. But most important, I would like to know if you hear anything from the Ministry of Education or when that will be addressed, because 6 weeks is very close at hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Respond to the caller.
Yeah, so I take your questions, caller. And if I'm to go back to the previous caller who spoke about bringing in a badge, we did get a badge from Suriname last week with some building supplies, tarpaulin, and so on. So we did get some assistance, but it's your point about the garbage. I think the garbage situation is one that is currently being addressed, and part of the reason why we can't start the rebuilding process yet is because all that garbage needs to go out, all the debris. It's a lot of debris, plus it's garbage that were there pre-burial, right? Okay. So that I take your suggestion on that. I know that is something that we have had to deal with before we could even start rebuilding the homes and repairing homes. We need to take out the debris, that needs to get rid of as well. In terms of Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Education will address this soon. By Friday, I think they should be giving you some information on that. It is a good idea to have the garment factories, the uniform idea. I think that's a good one. Yeah. I remember after Hurricane Ivan, students were allowed to go to school in regular clothing because a lot of students lost their uniforms and their clothes in general. So I think that won't be an issue in terms of going to school as long as they get a fair chance to education. I also like your idea about well, not your idea, but you talked about the relocation of students to Grenada. I think in the first instance, if I could also recall how we treated with Ivan, I remember the Form 4s and Form 5 students got priority, and of course the CPA students, because you have to relocate, and you have to ensure that they are prepared for exams. So I think they will be treated with care. We'll have to look at that situation very closely. CARICOM, as you know, only has 2 secondary schools, Hillsborough and Bishop's College. So I think what would be a great idea is if some of the schools on mainland adopt these students, especially the Form 5 students, bring them down. We could share it between the 2 schools, just about 110 maybe. So I think that could be spread through, and we will need Grenadians to maybe adopt families, adopt a student as your contribution to the relief efforts and to education for our students. So the Ministry of Education will deal with this one. They will have a conference soon to discuss and to inform the public about the plans for reopening of school in September.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's take another caller. We may be our final caller for the morning. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, sir, and good morning to the press secretary. I have to say, I don't know the press secretary, but I think she's doing a wonderful job. Hats off to you. You spoke about the Prime Minister have to open, I think it's 3 community centers in his area. And you even spoke about the community centers could help build the community, and I do agree with you on that part. But in my neck of the woods, which is St. Patrick's, we think we have the largest community center in Grenada. Over $1.5 million was spent on this community center so far. And it remained closed. Up to today, it remained closed. There is no activity taking place there. The community center still remains closed. We want to know what's the problem that community center cannot be open to the public so they can use it. People in the community want that community center to be opened so the community can use that center to have meetings, or the community groups could use it and do what they want to do. We need that place to open pronto. Have a nice day.
What area in St. Patrick?
River Sally.
All right. And that was surely our final caller for the morning. Presec, I know there's some final information you want to share that's in terms of the CARICOM meeting taking place. You want to share that information before we take our up?
Sure. Thank you, GT. At this point, I want to say that the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting takes place on July 28th through the 30th. July 28th, we have 2 major activities happening. So at 3 o'clock, we're opening the CARICOM roundabout. And if you've been traveling along the Grand Anse main road, the Morris Bishop Highway, that roundabout in that area just before you go to True Blue,
Yes.
that will be renamed as the CARICOM roundabout in honor of CARICOM turning 50 and Grenada turning 50. All right. So that's the CARICOM roundabout. That's happening. So just be on the lookout. There might be some traffic arrangements for that, just for about an hour, just so we have that ceremony and we and the heads see that the heads of government will be present at that activity as well. Then we move to the St. George's University for the opening ceremony, where we will have a showcase of Grenadian talent and a showcase of our 50th anniversary for the heads of government and our visiting delegates. And then we move into our meeting where the heads of government, of course, will discuss the thematic focus, which we spoke about earlier, the food and nutrition security, climate change and sustainable development, transportation, CARICOM single market and economy, free movement, and foreign policy. And again, I want to stress that, of course, they will be talking a lot about climate change, especially with the passage of Hurricane Beryl and having so much devastation in the first month of the hurricane season. Right? We will also be honoring two Caribbean nationals, Sir Clive Lloyd and Roderick Rainford. They will get the Order of the Caribbean Community Award on that day. So that's something to look forward to. Curacao will also become an associate member state of CARICOM that will bring the membership to 21. So we're looking forward to that as well. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell will be championing digital technology. So we're looking forward to that. He's extremely passionate about that, and just ensuring that digital technology is maximized, right, to its fullest potential for everyone, students, adults, everyone involved. And I know we recently had that cyber attack with some of the banks had some issues. So I think that's one of the things he will be championing for his tenure as chairman of CARICOM.
All right. Mr. Ettienne, I want to thank you a whole lot for being on the program this morning. It's our first encounter, and I'm sure it would not be our last. How about we seeing you much more on the program?
Thank you, GT.
I'm not getting a commitment.
Thank you, GT. Thank you so much for the opportunity. There is, we will have some more of our ministers coming in to talk through. I know Minister David Andrew will be coming on to talk about school reopening, and of course we'll have our Prime Minister come in. It's been a while since he's been on the show, so we'll ensure that he comes after CARICOM.
Sure, I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you once again.
Thank you to your callers as well for their contribution, and for those of you who logged in and listened and made comments on social media. We appreciate those as well, and we'll look at them and see how we can improve on our offerings. So thank you.
Hey folks, that's how we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point for today. Thank all who contributed, and once again, have yourself a great day. That's what we say goodbye for this edition. All the best, folks. Goodbye.